Hello, welcome, one and all, children of all ages. Maybe not all ages. That might be a bad idea. Where are your parents? Who the hell do I care? You figured out how to use the internet. You're old enough for, well, learning, I guess. But not old enough for this. Bugger off. So, for those of you that, remain, yeah, I know, I'm, like, kind of lost in the head. I can't help it. Squeaky chairs do a squeaky. So I got these a little bit dusty. They've been here a while. Today is the day. It has finally come. Hooray. We are going through it, one and all. I am talking about the Geshelli stack today. Today is the review of the Enog2 Pro and the Archel Pro DAC and AMP stack. So, it's not set in stone yet, but I'm still working my wizardry magic to buy these from them. You'd be surprised how hell-bent Sherri and Geno are on making sure their quality is top-notch on their products. Like, they're really into their quality assurance. Silence is silent. Let's have some background. Terribly sorry if the background music is a little bit too high. I will preempt this and just put it at -55 on my receiver. Let's hope for the best. I also opened up the bores of where my mic holes are at and dusted them out, so maybe it'll even sound better, too. Oh, shit, wouldn't that be awesome? Ah! Oh, right, sorry, we're doing a review. So, these are an interesting set of devices here. Particularly picky, one might say, actually. Let's get y'all back in so I can actually see what I'm doing. And keep an eye on the time frame, because I'm hoping to get this pretty quick. That is just a pinch loud, isn't it? I'll have to remember, -60. Everyone at home, remember. Remind me, -60. Right. I'm kind of procrastinating on purpose. Not because I don't want to review it, but because it's really hard to put my thoughts in order. I don't have some of the cans that this beautiful set was specifically designed for. Really high impedance headphones. The output impedance is somewhere around 3 to 10 ohms, I believe. I could be wrong. Geshelli, team, please, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I would like to make sure I get that right, but to the best of my knowledge, it's within the range of about 3 to 10 ohms. So it's not really great for IEMs, at least not for blast, not if you're using the amp by itself. When paired with the Enog2 Pro, you, of course, get the ability to hold it. You see the flashing of the LEDs on the inside, and that'll tell you when you've stepped from the gain. It goes from highest to lowest. Fun fact, you can message the Geshelli team and ask them to customize some of these things. You want the LEDs a little bit dimmer? They can do that for you. Do you want the gain selections to be higher, lower? They can do that for you. Although I don't know if higher is necessarily a better idea, they can advise you. They've been doing this longer than I have, and they can suggest. They could possibly, when they get the time, because they've been quite swamped lately, talk to you on what the best option might be for you, particularly when they get the time. Please don't expect ultra super expedient service. They are not a massive team. Not by any measure. But the quality control is top-notch, in spite of that fact. So, with that being said, the Archel Pro needs to be paired with a DAC that has volume leveling capabilities. If the DAC does not have the ability to change the gain, the output gain, or volume, or whatever you have, then you're going to have a bad time unless you have headphones that are not necessarily sensitive or very high impedance. Plainhouse don't seem to play particularly well on these. The Odyssey LCD2Cs did relatively well, but it also handles approximately too friggin' much power. The HE4XX was so-so, it's a little bit too efficient. And the HE560, both from Hi-Fi Man, a little too inefficient. However, the 10 Hi-Fi P1s worked relativistically well. It didn't shine spectacularly, but it did function. It did, in fact, work to relative satisfaction. Now, however, where I have found this particular amp shines is on dynamics, of which I believe it was predominantly designed for. Dynamics sound good. And by some weird secondary or tertiary effect, balanced armatures from in-ear monitors actually also sound really quite nice. The IEMs I've been enamored with, the T180, I'm getting the 260s in here relatively soon, probably by the end of the month, as well as the T100 yet to be released internationally, or re-released internationally? I don't know. Basically, AudioSense is doing some good stuff. And AudioSense stuff, for me, when I have this on medium gain, sounded rather nice. You can also use attenuators to some sense of effect. I would just turn the gain down to low if they are extremely sensitive. And if you know you're going to use it with very sensitive stuff, you could ask them to change the lowest of the low to make it even lower. Although you might start to hit a noise floor, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong there. Please feel free to correct me. But the point is, I was able to listen to this very feathered touch on the volume knob on medium gain on the T180s, and I was quite satisfied. The highs were bright and a little sparkly. The mids were not really recessed, but not pushed forward. Vocals were represented relatively well, the upper spectrum of the vocals. But where this shines, and I must agree with quite a bit of the other reviews that I've seen, just to give me an idea of what to look for, although I try not to read too far into it, I use it to get an idea of what I'm dealing with. The bass is very punchy, very impactful, even on something that's relativistically bass-light, or even bass-anemic. It seems to just really have a power, a boom, a punch, a kick, and a little bit of a nudge in the correct way if you're looking for a bass response. So for rock, some classical, one might be able to argue. Synthwave was actually really pleasurable on this, because the upper vocals, higher pitched male and female vocals, your normal, stereotypical, somewhat higher-ish pitched to high-pitched female vocals really accentuates quite well out of this amp. You can change the input on this from a 3.5mm input, RCA input. And when you hold it down, you can change the LEDs from red, blue, purple, a red and blue combo. It's purple, red or blue, then blue next. Or I can literally turn it on. Alright, so they start on purple. Then yes, it goes red, goes blue, and yes, of course I left it on red. I mean, might as well leave it on red. It's a gorgeous ruby candy apple red chassis. So of course I'm going to leave it on red. It'd be insane not to. The power plug is very nicely stuck in there. I mean, it latches superbly. The power switch is really nice. Um, I can understand why they're using a push button. I prefer a detent switch, or a up-down flicky switch. But this is probably a lot cheaper and a lot easier to accommodate. There is one point of failure that... not failure, one point I fail to enjoy, and that is the volume knob. Geno, Sherri, I may be the only one to complain other than Zeos, but this, in my personal opinion, needs to be fixed or be given an option. Cut down here, add a little red LED right around here. Let me make sure I got that. Okay. Add an LED somewhere around here, or a fiber optic going from this LED or an additional LED somewhere around the pot into the back here. You don't even have to modify it too much. You just need it to shine into a frosted glass ring or into a fiber style ring of some form or another that allows you, there we go, to have this colored. That way, as one moves it up and down, they can easily tell what volume leveling they are at, using just an inherent simple LED that is the same color on or off, or you can even have it independent of that. That's my personal recommendation, although that may require a little bit extra stuff. I would say just tie it in with the LEDs here, and it'll be whatever color that is, and, you know, if it's off, it's off, it's on, you know, blue, red, purple. Simple. An amazing amp. I love it for dynamics, balanced armature dynamic IEMs. Planar IEMs, although I only have one, worked relatively well. I would say planars are best left to different amps, unfortunately. Although you can, in fact, use it, don't let me lie to you. I didn't enjoy it as much as when I had it on a liquid spark or the atom. Didn't say it was bad, I just didn't enjoy it. I don't really know what it is. It could be the way it plays with the linear impedance of planars. It could be, could not be. I'm not 100% sure. Didn't sound bad. I'm sorry, I didn't enjoy it. But for dynamics and everything else, yeah, there we go. So, I've hammered that into the dirt. I know I am very redundant, and I tend to ramble. I'm redundant to show emphasis, to try and get my point across as heavily as possible, and the more emphasis I'm trying to put on it, the more I am really, really trying to accentuate that point. So, if it bothers you, I'm sorry, please skip ahead a couple of seconds at a time, and when you hear something different, I won't be too upset. Alright, okay, now on to the Enog2 Pro amp, DAC, oh Jesus. Again, please, Sherri, Geno, let me keepy. Let me buy. Please. Okay. Alright, so, you know what, let's start here. The inputs. This is the biggest point of contention that I hear the most, and I was even semi-shocked to hear from Sherri herself that you'd be surprised how many people shit on them and just berate and give them hell for no USB in. You have to understand, adding a USB chipset brings a lot of extra cost. It's not just a kaplunky and it works. It's a bit more complicated than that. There may be licensing fees. There may not be licensing fees. They could potentially homebrew a solution, but then they would have to program that. And unless someone is ostensibly kind enough for them to do that with, there is the ODAC. I believe that's the open source, or whatever the open source DAC is. Unfortunately, without some really big legal fuckery, they can't change that design. So unless there's a truly open source USB DAC option, the cheapest, most effective option is digital in. Now, for those of you that own a USB audio interface, or don't mind buying an ADC, analog to digital converter, not a digital to analog converter, this one works in reverse. You can get a really cheap one for about $15 or so, maybe 20. If you're planning on buying a few different DACs or a few different amps, might I suggest the Topping D10 or something similar? It'll also act as a USB-powered only audio interface. It has USB in only on the D10 from Topping, and offers multiple outs. Optical, SPDIF digital coax, yeah, sure. Makes a great option. There are plenty out there, but that is the cheapest actual USB interface that I can think of. And if you're a DSD person, or if you need a damn decent, or if you're a DSD person, you would go with the Topping. If you want a solid, best priced that I can find, that is this full featured, balanced, and RCA out DAC? I'm sorry for the price. I mean, yes, there's the, the Grace S DAC, the balanced DAC from drop.com. Not only do you have to deal with their shitty shipping services, yes, I've ordered from them multiple times. No, I don't care who the hell you are, unless you're super fancy or just really lucky. Their shipping sucks. Drop, fix it. You'll never watch this video. Whatever. But the Geshelli Labs team, however, is really on point, and they let you know, hey, look, we're sorry, we're particularly busy. They'll work with you, or they'll let you know up front, hey, look, shit's gone down in the wrong way, Black Hawk down. But outside of that, $170, $180 if I'm not, yeah, $180, not including shipping. I don't know what shipping is. This is the best DAC I can find that has a selectable. Here, you select between the two ends, and it always pushes out balanced 3-pin XLR, left and right, and RCA simultaneously. So I actually have it going to my P20 balanced and my Little Bear, one Little Bear 3x3 selector through RCA, and shit, I'm awfully happy. I couldn't really hear much of a difference between digital coax and optical. Where this DAC seems to pull forward is that it is a relatively budget-friendly option for having a gain selection that they can customize for you. I don't know if they can add more than 3. They might be able to. I've never actually asked. Hey, Sherri, Geno, put that shit down in the comments section. Make a nice long one and I'll pin it. Yeah. Of what you can and can't customize. I would greatly appreciate it, and I'm sure the viewers will as well. As well as maybe an approximate ETA for when they can get these new chassis. There we go. Now that'd be some magic. Now, maybe I'm not skilled enough to hear the difference between a lot of these different DACs. It seems like amps flavor the audio, and DACs seem to change up to nuance as little as subtle nuances in the audio, some of which I just don't seem to be able to grasp fully well, or maybe I'm not using, God, I hate to use this, high enough engineered or high enough end audio equipment to really grab the differences. I've got the Topping DX3 Pro, and I can use it as a DAC or an amp, amazing for IEMs. And I can use the Topping D10, or I can use this. It all sounds great. If I want to do DSD, I'll do to the Topping D10. If I want a damn good IEM or a very throttle-heavy DAC, I can use the DX3 Pro. However, that is around 220-something bones. If I'm going to go for the total package, I'm going to go for the D10 and the Enog2 Pro. Currently. Is what it is. But with this being customizable, and it does remember your game selections, it does save that. I've got nothing but praise. Sherri, Geno, please don't make me return these. I want these for all of their scuffs, all of their differences in the polishing. It's almost like a unique wood grain to the metal, which I actually quite like. The DAC is superb by any measure. For the cost, what it puts out, it's the most budget-friendly, balanced DAC out there that I can think of that is this full-featured. And let's face it, damn beautiful. It doesn't stack super well, so I guess if I had to really complain, maybe on the next iteration, do your best to put everything on the same side, maybe scrunch together the XLRs here, unless there's some type of a pixies jumping the bridge kind of issue. Maybe put the RCAs vertically, and then scrunch it all together a bit more, and just, I would say, try to put everything on a single face of it. That way we can stack it more beautifully and enjoy the looks on the inside. That's honestly my only criticism, is I can't stack this all super pretty-like. So my deck goes under here and gives me some accent lighting under my monitor. And my amp goes in my little stack over there. It's all quite great. Nothing but amazing stuff, and I do use all of my amps and DACs when I go through the review process. They're all essential to see what does and doesn't play well with it. So when I go to recommend it, when I think it's actually worth it, I will mention, hey, I got the best results from this amp, and we all know that the Liquid Spark is a particularly warm amp. We all know that this is a bright, punchy, kicky amp. And we all know the Atom is so neutral it sounds slightly mid-forward just because of the neutral, and the mids are kind of like the bulk of what we hear, at least in terms of vocals anyway. I can use all of these to recommend a better total solution and also do reviews better, in my opinion, and this is just fucking awesome. Nothing but great things to say. I have the money saved up off to the side. I'm just waiting for the invoice so I can give them my monies and just throw it at them. That's about all I have. I know this was a little rambly. I do headphones better. I don't do amps and DACs super duper well, other than talking about what they have in terms of feature set. So I'm sorry if this was a bit subpar for you, if you didn't enjoy it. I really hope you'll forgive me. I'm still working on my skill set for these. We'll put it that way. But all in all, yes, I'm going to do what I can to buy this off of them. And with any luck, they won't make me return it. So, that's about all I have. This was still damn long. God, I ramble. Oh well, at least when I ramble, you know I'm enjoying myself. And I'm passionate about what I do. Could be worse. I could be Ferris Bueller. Yeah, no. That's not going to be any fun at all for anyone. Bueller. So, with that being said, thank you all for stopping by. Have a wonderful morning, a beautiful afternoon, and a lovely night. Rest well, my children. May you travel far and wide within your dreams, so long as you come back again to see me again soon. Farsil, the wizard. And don't forget, I have a Discord now, link in the description below. Please feel free to join. Dave from DBS Tech Talks is also in my server, so you can also ask him questions. He has a different taste set than I do. The community is quite nice, even though it's really teeny tiny. So, Poof.